Hey, it's Mike, and I am back. Um, I got a lot to talk about. Excuse me. I have a lot to talk about, and I'm going to get right into it with the intro. So let's get to the intro, and I'll be right back. Hello?
Hello.
I told you I'd be back, and I'm back. Um, so, um, first of all, I want to say thank you to all my new subscribers. I was lucky enough to get on, I was asked to do an interview with a Scientology protester, cult protester, very nice person named T in Perth, Australia. And we had a nice chat. And unfortunately, my internet was not working very well that day. And then right after that, my internet cut off for 2 days. So I wasn't even able to do anything for the last 2 days because I had no internet. But during the interview, my internet wasn't working so well, and I don't know what was going on. But I want to thank everybody who subscribed and who is sharing my videos and whatever. I really appreciate it. So, that being said, that was said. Now, Scientology protesting, of course, I am supporting everybody that's doing something to bring that cult down. And I don't need to know anything else. I don't need to know anything about you. I don't need to know anything about you. If you're protesting Scientology, good. If you're if you leave the Scientology protest and then you go and you're smoking crack, or I don't know, I don't care. Now, if you're doing something that's harming people, like going and robbing a bank, you leave the Scientology protest and then you go rob a bank or something worse, that ain't right, okay? That ain't right. But other than that, like, I don't need to know, and I don't need to. I don't need to pick sides. Sides of what? And it's so tribal. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, and you even that's none of my business. Like, I don't even need to know why everybody's got these, why there's these tribes and why they are feuding. But I guess that's human nature. And I guess even the Hare Krishna, they have tribes within the cult, and they feud, and they fight and feud, and they don't get along. And they're inside the cult. They're like protesting the cult from within the cult. But anyway, so I support everybody who's protesting Scientology, doing whatever you can. The really good ones, out of LA, Streets, Tory, everybody's doing what they can. Not everybody is the same. Not everybody can do the same thing. Not everybody's good at the same thing. So, but you have to use your discretion. You have to use your intelligence and figure out what's the best way for you to do something. Like for me, I can't really do much for Scientology, against Scientology, or I can't go out and demonstrate. I can't do that with Hare Krishna. I'm not in a position where I can go out and demonstrate or confront anyone. I can't put myself in that kind of situation where I'm at. I could end up in jail. I'm in another country. I'm a guest in another country, so I can't do that. But I can make videos and I can speak out on what I know in my history and what I've experienced in the Hare Krishna cult and cults in general. I know. I grew up in L.A., so I know all about the Scientology from when I was a little kid. They had the Synanon, Narcanon, Dianetics on commercials on TV. I remember when they bought that blue building, and those buildings on Hollywood Boulevard. But anyway, I was never a Scientologist, but I'm aware of them, and I was always aware that they were a cult. And Hare Krishna, though, I got involved with that. So anyway, that's my history for all you new subscribers who subscribed and maybe haven't seen a video yet. But anyway, I'm going to get into this child abuse and explain why. Okay, so in my other videos, I was explaining that these guys, they don't get reported, they don't get turned in, they don't get brought to justice, they get protected, they get moved around, they get worshipped as a spiritual leader, they get put in positions of leadership, and they're around people with families. These guys, all of these guys, and you don't know who's who. You don't know who they are. You go into a Hare Krishna temple or a Govinda's restaurant or a Bhakti center, one of these Bhakti yoga centers, or a Krishna Lounge. I think there's a place called Krishna Lounge or whatever. You don't know who that guy is that's running that operation. You don't know his shady history, if he has a shady history. You don't know anything. You just don't know. So, I want to share with you, right off the bat, this is a Hare Krishna guy that was in, this person passed away, but he was one of the ones that was in the Hare Krishnas, and he was speaking out about stuff he didn't like. And he wrote a letter. And this was about 10 years ago. But this is from a Hare Krishna. This is a Hare Krishna himself, one of the leaders of the Hare Krishnas. He was an old-timer. He'd been around forever. He was one of Prabhupada's main guys in Australia. He's from Australia. He joined in Australia. And what he's talking about in this letter has to do with the leadership of the cult, activities in Australia, and everything I'm talking about. And this is from someone in the cult himself. And he knows more than me because he's a leader, and he was there. He was with the cult leader, Prabhupada. He was one of his main guys. He was a leader after Prabhupada left, passed away, died, whatever. Continued to be a leader and a respected member of the Hare Krishnas until he passed away a couple of years ago. So this guy knew a lot more. He knows a lot more than me. He knows a lot more people. Prabhupada. But it doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. But this is who this guy is. This isn't just some guy. This is Madhuvisa. This is one of Prabhupada's top leader guys. I'm going to read his letter, what he wrote. So what I'm reading is not... This is one of the main guys wrote this letter. I can't emphasize that enough. I can't. Okay, so this is... I'm just going to get right into it. This is... wait a minute, let me... There you go. Okay, so this is ISKCON, The Human Tragedy by Madhuvisa. And he says, and this was written sometime, probably probably sometime before I left or around the time I left. So probably maybe 12, 13, 14 years ago he wrote this. The Human Tragedy by Madhu Visadas. Although we hear a lot about the problems of ISKCON, probably few realize how severely these problems affect the lives of the unfortunate people who actually join today's ISKCON. But he's not going to say don't join. He's just going to say there's problems. Okay, as a book distributor, hustler, I meet so many broken-hearted devotees who have been abused and cheated by ISKCON and had their spiritual lives completely destroyed. I mean, do we need to go on? I mean, is there that should be enough? But no, there's a lot. I met a young man yesterday who was a bhakta in the ISKCON Sydney temple. Before joining the temple, he was chanting his rounds, following the principles and reading Srila Prabhupada's books with great pleasure. He was reading these racist, sexist, disgusting books with great pleasure. There's a problem right there already. But now, after being so shaken and devastated with his experiences in ISKCON, he says, if this is what chanting Hare Krishna does to people, I don't want anything to do with it. He was absolutely right. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the exact same thing. These cults cause mental illness. They cause all kinds of things. All kinds of things. He was aware of it. He said, if this is what chanting Hare Krishna does to people, I don't want anything to do with it. He goes on, he says, he's a very intelligent young man who joined ISKCON and surrendered to the temple authorities thinking that they were representing Prabhupada. Now, you got to remember, they want to blame, they don't ever want to blame Prabhupada. They want to blame the gurus. So they're always going to slip that in. Thinking they were representing Prabhupada. The temple president then used him to collect thousands of dollars every week in various illegal scams. He then ordered him to aspire to take initiation from Tamal Krishna, which he did. When he was having problems, he wrote to his guru who could not help him and simply replied he was too busy working on assignments for his university course to answer letters. This is what I'm reading. Okay, just so you know, I'm not making it up. This devotee was an avid reader of Srila Prabhupada's books. He had read the Bhagavad Gita at least 12 times and 3/4 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and he very much enjoyed reading the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. He was trying to be a Paka Brahminical devotee, which means very clean, but was being constantly criticized by the temple president and other senior devotees in the temple. His frustration was that these senior devotees had never even read Prabhupada's books, and he wondered how they could preach to him and order him around. Absolutely. I agree. My experience wasn't seeing these inexperienced devotees that had never read Prabhupada's books. They were giving lectures. I was seeing people that had, I was seeing people come in. They joined the ashram. They went from being just some guy on the street who didn't know anything about Hare Krishna, joining the ashram, and then a month or two later, they're in the temple giving a lecture. And I'm like, what's this? What does he know in a month? That he's sitting there not just lecturing me, he's lecturing everybody. And it's like that's their way of training people, but I'm like, what's going on here? Who is this guy? He's a new guy. I don't know what he was doing before, and now he's sitting up in the temple giving a lecture. I don't know who he is, but we don't know who the old timer guys are that are sitting there giving lectures. They're predators. They're deviants. They're child molesters. They're child rapists. All the guys that you see on the thumbnail are in ISKCON and giving lectures today. And they should be in jail. The things that they've done to little girls and little boys. Not one has ever been arrested, interviewed. They commit crimes all over the world, and then they run to India, where no one's going to find them, in some little village somewhere. And then when they do find them, like the guy that was in Cambodia, they finally do catch him. They throw him in jail. These guys go get him out. They go bribe the judge or whatever and get him out and take him back. It's worse. It's worse than... It's worse. It's so bad they can't cover it up completely, but it's way worse than you would ever suspect. Way worse. Let me continue. Here we go. Next paragraph. Here we go. Many of you will know of Bhavananda, who molested more children in ISKCON than anyone else. So he's saying many of you know this already. And those of you that don't know, here it is. He's spilling the beans right in the first. Many of you will know of Bhavananda, who molested more children in ISKCON than anyone else. Well, you know what? That's debatable, because since this has been written, people have challenged that world record. He is still being employed by ISKCON. Why isn't he in jail? If you know that he's molested more children than anyone in ISKCON, and many people know, he just says, many of you know, Bhavananda molested more children in ISKCON than anyone else. Why isn't he in jail? Why wasn't he arrested and have a trial? And if he's found not guilty, he's not guilty. And if he's guilty, he goes to jail. Why not? If many people know, and Madhuvisa knows, obviously Madhuvisa knows, and he's a leader of ISKCON. That's the question that I'm asking. It says, many of you know of Bhavananda, who molested more children in ISKCON than anyone else. He is still being employed by ISKCON. In fact, he has never left the ISKCON payroll. He was working as the manager of the ISKCON Sydney restaurant. Then he became a full-time temple devotee. But after some time, the GBC did put a stop to his Bhagavatam class and his attempt to become an initiating guru in ISKCON again. So he's working in the restaurant. This is what I'm saying. You go to the restaurant, you don't know who's working in there. You got a pedophile in there. You got the guy who everyone knows, most people know, that he molested more kids in ISKCON than any other. And he's working in the Sydney restaurant where members of the public just walk in and sit down and or like a restaurant, and he's working in there. You think your kids are safe in that restaurant? Think, Mom, I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta go to the toilet. You got a guy who's molested more kids, and everybody openly knows about it. And he's working in a restaurant where families come in. The guy shouldn't be anywhere near children. The guy belongs in jail. They did put a stop to his giving class. They said, okay, no, that's going too far. You can't. Why is that going too far? What? Why is that going too far? You let him do whatever else he wants to do. I mean, by telling him he can't give class, isn't that an admission that you recognize that he's guilty of something? And yet you don't do anything about it? Am I the only one? Am I the only one that gives a shit about the rules? I gotta get that one. I don't have that sound. In what world does the guy who's molested more kids in his church allowed to just work in a restaurant where families come in off the street? Family restaurant. Everybody knows about it. The victims, the community, the leadership, all these spiritual leaders, all these gurus, they all know about this man. They all know about this man. And here's another, and this other leader is saying, what's up? So, you think that's bad enough? Let me read the next paragraph. Okay, trigger warning, okay? The story continues. When this devotee saw Bhavananda having sex in the temple with a young devotee boy who was barely 18, just out of school, he thought this is not a very good thing for an advanced devotee to be doing. You think? But the brainwashing is so intense that this guy couldn't leave. He couldn't just go, I'm out of here. What the hell is this? He couldn't say, who are you trying to kid? This is no spiritual movement. No, can't do it. Locked. The brain is locked in a friggin'. It's frozen, like your computer freezes up. Can't figure it out. Can't figure out you're in a friggin' child molesting, pedophile protecting cult. Not Not the young guy who just joined, who's freaking out that he's in this goddamn cult, that doesn't know what the hell's going on. He can't figure it out. The old timer who's writing this letter, he can't figure it out. Both their brains locked. Locked in cult world. Locked in friggin' cult world. Just all this bad shit's happening. Children being molested, the perpetrators being protected. The guy walks in on a guy having sex in the temple. He's having sex in the temple with some young kid. This old man. He can't figure it out. Well, it's got to be. Can't be that I'm in a cult. I couldn't possibly be in a friggin' cult of cosplaying freaks. Because then I'd have to admit that I'm a cosplaying freak. Well, you know what? Sometimes you gotta man up and go, you know, I got bamboozled. I got fooled. I thought I was on a spiritual path, but you know what? I'm in a fucking caravan of freaks. Every other guru is a child molester, and the ones that aren't child molesters are protecting the ones that are. Full stop. This guy admitted it 2 paragraphs ago. Many of you know of Bhavananda, who molested more children in ISKCON than anyone else. Well, shit, if everybody knows it, why isn't anybody doing anything about it? Okay, let me get back to this guy's letter. Bhavananda is presented by ISKCON as being a very advanced devotee, and the Bhaktas are encouraged to seek his association and advice on Krishna consciousness. At one point, he was the Bhakta leader. This guy, this old man, this grown 60-year-old man, 55, older than me, at this time, 10 years ago, whatever, he had to have been in his 50s. He's in the temple having sex with a 18-year-old boy. Now, look, if he wants to go have sex with an 18-year-old boy, hell, go do it. But don't sit in the temple room pretending to be a spiritual leader who's going to advise people on their lives and what they can do to be, and telling them what they should and shouldn't do, and collecting money from them and living a friggin' lifestyle as some kind of guru spiritual leader. Meanwhile, when no one's looking, you're diddling a little 18. This is barely 18. You know what? I doubt if he was 18. This makes it legal and not illegal. But we already know what this guy was doing, so I don't know what that is. So here you got this guy molesting all these little kids. They put him in. They move. He ends up in Sydney, Australia, working in the restaurant. He's in the temple giving lectures. He's a Bhakta leader, whatever. And this guy's in there, and he sees him having sex in the temple with some young kid. Hey, thanks for popping in. You know, I was just going over some stuff that happened in Sydney and Perth, and I'm shocked. I'm shocked. You know, just like I've always said, it's like and everywhere you look, there's just piles of crap. You know, it's like if you scoop up go to the beach and you scoop up a handful of sand, you know, you're going to find some shells in there, and it doesn't matter where you scoop, you're going to find shells in the beach or whatever. You know, it's just like there's going to be. It's the same thing. If you look at ISKCON or any cult, you're going to find a bunch of crap, and you don't have to look very far. I did one search, and I found this whole thing about one incident. One incident. So okay, so he finds this guy having sex in the temple, and I'm going to go on. I'm going to read the next paragraph. When the temple president was informed, instead of doing anything about Bhavananda, he called the GBC, the head guy, Ramaswamy. Their solution was to have our friend sign a legal document stating he would not disclose anything he had seen happen in the ISKCON temple to anyone, and then promptly transferred him to the Perth temple. He says Perth is as far away from Sydney as you can get in Australia. It's in the middle of nowhere. So instead of shipping the predator off and getting rid of him, they shipped the guy who saw it off. The guy who saw it, they're like, we got to move you out of here. So this Bhavananda continues as a staff member and the de facto guru of Sydney ISKCON temple, and continues to have sex with young boys who are unfortunate enough to fall into the ISKCON crap. Yeah, it's exactly the same. This was probably somewhere around 2010. So this guy, 2010, in the 2010s, teens. God, I could go on. This goes on and on. So this Bhavananda guy, he's now in India, and he's in India. He's a spiritual leader in India. I'm not joking. I'm not making this up. He's in India, and he's a spiritual leader in India. And this guy has molested kids all over the world. I don't mean to laugh. He's molested kids all over the world. In the U.S., in India, in the U.S., in Australia, obviously, all over the world. And now he's just plotted down in India, and now everyone's worshiping him like he's the Dalai Lama. Well, not everybody. His followers are worshiping him like he's the Dalai Lama. And if you go to India and you run into this guy, and you don't know, and everybody's like, oh, nobody knows. Nobody knows. A lot of these guys hang out in India because there's a billion people in India. You know, there's 2 million people in Dallas or whatever, 4 million people in Dallas, but in India, there's a billion people. It's a lot easier to blend in, and when everybody, it's a lot easier to blend in. Excuse me, get lost. You know, these guys are. It's disgusting. So this leader who's writing this letter, he continues on. Some may argue that this is not illegal as the boys are mostly over 18. Oh, so we're just gonna say it's okay because they're over 18. They're over 18, no problem. You feel easy to slip out of there. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. So it says, but ISKCON is promoting Bhavananda as an advanced devotee. So the organization knows that this guy has molested every kid he comes in contact with. And they still promote him. because it's a, it's like it's a cult, but it's like a cluster. It's like they know that they have to protect him, because if when they do something, they got to get protected. No, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And let me see. Let me see if I can find something real quick. Well, let me just show you. This is the Hare Krishnas in Perth, Australia.
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन.
So as you can see, the women are kept separate because women are less intelligent. Women are they're bad news. Women, they agitate men. They make men sexually agitated. Women are dumb and stupid, and so women have to stay with the women, and then the men get to hang out with the men. And so you can see how that how that works. How all the women they sing and dance by themselves, and then the men sing and dance with the men. But all those children, and the other thing about this is, let me just show you here. All these people here, you don't know who they are. You don't know if this guy is a molester and he's being protected, or this guy is the molester, or the guy with the drum is the molester, or the guy in the orange. Most likely it's the guy in the orange. But you don't know. You just don't know. And they're not going to tell you. And these guys don't get... It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And so these people, with this history, with this track record, with this admission of guilt, admission of protecting these people that belong in jail. These people belong. If you've molested, like, if you're called the person who's molested more kids in the organization than anyone else, what jail sentence do you think you deserve? What do you think they deserve? What jail sentence does that man deserve? Just not even on an ethical, moral, doing it in the temple with a young guy who, using your authority like a priest, like a priest raping an altar boy. It's like that, right? So it's even worse because it's a young child coming to a grown man as an authority figure, and then he's violated in that way. It's even more despicable. I mean, it's despicable no matter. No, what does that man deserve? Doing it to multiple children. Life in prison. Yeah, I mean, just on one count, this guy's molested multiple children, and then the people that are protecting him, all these people that are protecting him, what do they deserve? How do you excuse that? How do you go, well, he's a good guy? I'm angry too. That's the one thing about my show is I get very angry and then I have to cut it off because I can't take it anymore. But I got probably about a good 40 more minutes and then I'm so disgusted with what I'm talking about. I just cut it off. So I'm like, that's it. I can't do it anymore. Yeah. So, and let me. I'm not even gonna read it all because there's just so much. Okay. So here he goes. This is, and I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I don't mean to laugh. It's like a nervous kind of laugh. I'm a comedian, so my one of my first impulses is to just laugh. And I'm gonna scoot down a couple paragraphs, and I see something that he says here. So I can't believe it. So we're going to move down a couple paragraphs, and he says, even the temple president is involved in the same molestation business, but with young girls who are unfortunate enough to join ISKCON. He is the supreme authority in the temple, and he tells everyone what to do. So he also should not be seducing young girls who join. Recently, although he was already married, he ran away with one of the young girls who was living in the temple. After some weeks, he returned with her as his new wife. Now, not only is this a testament to the child abuse in the cult, but it's also a testament to the brainwashing of this cult. How do people witness and experience what they witness and experience and go on with their life? Not question. I immediately question when there was something that pushed me over the edge, and I questioned it. I went, and I know most people, not everybody's the same, you know. I said, why? What is it? What is the through line? What is the one thing that everybody has in common when it comes to pedophilia and all of these deviant, horrible things? What do they all have in common? Because everybody's all the infighting and this group and that group, but they all have the same symptoms. So what is it? It's the cult. It's not the bad people coming in. It's the cult. Screws up your head. It screws up your head. And if you're not mentally strong, if you fall victim easily. Start abusing women, calling them stupid. I saw it. Because women are less intelligent. The books say women are less intelligent. It says in the books that women are stupid. Women are separate from men because they are lusty and they're bad and they tempt and they look pretty and they do they try to draw the man away. So women have to stay over there while the men are over here. And then when they meet and there's a thing, well, stupid women, that's why Prabhupada said this, and that's why Prabhupada and women are this, and that's why women can't be gurus. That's why women should never have this. And then they start saying all these quotes from the books where Prabhupada says women are stupid and they should have no authority. They should not have any authority in the temple, and they shouldn't be this and they shouldn't do that, and they should just have children, and they should just learn to sew, and they should just learn to cook and learn to babysit. And shit gets in the head and it screws up and then it comes out and it's and the whole thing with the guru can do no wrong. The guru is perfect. The guru doesn't do anything bad. The guru is spotless. The guru never makes mistakes. The guru is perfect. So if the guru is molesting a little boy, well then, I don't know. We have to forgive him. We have to forgive the guru when he molests the little boy. We don't turn him in. We don't call the police. We don't do anything like that. That's bad. That would be bad. Like me, when I called the police, when the Hare Krishna molested my daughter, and I called the police, when the police came to the temple and wanted to interview the guy, I was the bad guy. Like, why are you calling the police? The temple president was, why did you call the police? I said, because the guy molested my daughter. Well, no, you're not supposed to do that. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, what are you talking about? You're supposed to do that. No, we're supposed to, we're going to notify notify what? And they did. They notified the child protection guy, and he emailed me, he called me. Like, who are you? Child Protection Office? You mean Guru Protection Office? You're here to protect the guru from any bad thing happening? Can't let anybody know that something bad happened at the LA temple because Virabahu make him look bad. He's the guru, make him look bad. What the fuck? I'm the bad guy? It's my daughter's fault that the guy touched her? My daughter's fault? Because she's a woman? She's a girl? She's a woman? Trying to tell me you can't kick him out of the building? But if a guy lights up a cigarette, you kick him out. A guy eats a hamburger, you kick him out. A guy smokes a joint, you kick him out. The guy molests a little girl, you can't kick him out? You can't kick him out? Well, he hasn't been convicted of a crime. It's not a crime to eat a hamburger. It's not a crime to smoke a cigarette. You kick those people out. But you can't kick the molester out. I'm wrong for calling the police. Okay, so I just found out the local council supports them. Yeah. They probably did like some safe pointing or whatever. And I'm going to tell you exactly what they go to the city and they go, look, we feed the homeless, we have free food, we do, all these outreach things. You only do that because you want members. You're not doing anything out of the goodness of your heart. Absolutely not. If you're doing, you know what, you want to do something good for the community, report all the child molesters and all the pedophiles and all the predators. How about let's get a list of who they are, because that'll benefit the community more than your free food on Sunday or your free whatever they give. What do you do? What do they do? They recommend them for food for the needy. Yeah, I know. I know exactly what they do. Yeah, I'll tell you what they probably do. They probably get food from the government from food banks, and then they use that food and sell it. That's what they do in LA. In LA, they get free food from the government, and then they turn around and they use it in the restaurant. It's supposed to be separate. Like, the food that you get from the government, is supposed to be distributed to the public for free, whatever that is. But in LA, they have a restaurant, and who's checking to see if the food that they're getting from the food bank is not being used in the restaurant? Because it is. I know for a fact it is. I know for a fact it is. And unless the city has come down and inspected and fined them or whatever and put a stop to that, it's still going on. Because there's nobody's checking that shit. It's horrible. That's what I'm saying. They fly under the radar. They fly under the radar. Nobody knows. Everything, and just like I'm going to tell you right now, just like Scientology, everything that they do is to bring in more people, to sell books and bring in people. Every festival they have, every open house they have, every Sunday feast they have, every food for the homeless, they have a thing called Food for Life. Every Food for Life, all of that. It's all to books and get people in and get money. Donations. And when I'm talking about donations, it's not like $1 from this guy and a 50. They want donations. They want rich people to get money. They want rich Indians in the community to give money. Wealthy Indians from India that don't know any better to give money. And a lot of them do, because they don't know. They don't know. And in India too. All over they exploit the Indian community for money. And the Indian community, they don't know what they're to the Indian community, they're just another temple. So, the Indians are very religious, they're very superstitious, they're very, so it's like, oh, I can give money, and they want to donate. I'll give a donation. But they don't want $1 or $1.50. They want thousands of dollars from rich, wealthy Indians. And rich, wealthy anybody. George Harrison, Madonna, they'll take money. They'll take money. I don't care. Just like Scientology, right? Scientology they want Tom Cruise, they want John Travolta, they want the big name. It does a bunch of stuff. It gets money. It's a money pipeline, and then it's also name recognition. So they can say, hey, George Harrison, my sweet lord, John Lennon. I mean, I did a video where I showed you that the guys out there today selling the books with John Lennon and George Harrison on the cover or whatever, and going, hey, and his pitch is, hey, you like the Beatles? You heard about the Beatles? First of all, who hasn't heard about the Beatles? And second, the Beatles is like 60 years ago. It's not even... It's just so... it's so stupid. But anyway, that's what the whole thing is. And the food... The food is just to get people in. And you go, well... Yeah, but they're giving away free food. Or they're feeding hungry people. Yeah, they are feeding hungry people. But they're doing it... The motive is not to feed the people. The motive is to get people to come into their cult. There's a lot of people that are feeding the homeless. You want to feed you want to praise somebody for feeding the homeless. There's a lot of people that feed hungry people. There's a lot of food banks that you can go, hey, great job, food bank. Great job, this guy. Great job, whatever. There's a lot of people that are doing great work. The Hare Krishnas are only doing it so they could get money and followers. Why praise them? Their motive isn't even their motive isn't even real or honest. Just a bunch of But anyway, now back on a more personal note.
Of the Goswamis of Vrindavana, who basically rigidly followed this rule and made immense literatures of transcendental science for our benefits. Interestingly, there's a little story in Vrindavan. In the middle of the winter, Panditji, Pradyumna Prabhu, went to Srila Prabhupada and asked him once, why is it so cold in Vrindavan in the winter? How did the Goswamis live?
Okay, so how do I get this back?
In this cold. And Prabhupada laughed and described, because you are thinking that the Goswami is ordinary men like.
Okay, so this guy, okay, this used to be my friend when I was a Hare Krishna. This was my friend, and he was like the guru. He was like our equivalent of a guru. He was like the most senior guy, knew the most, was around with the cult leader, the Prabhupada guy, knew the old guy, had many conversations with him. There's videos of him together. There's conversations where they're together. So this guy is like, he's an OG. All right, he's an OG Krishna guy, and he's just one of those guys, you know. And he lived in LA, and he was my friend, so that's where I know. That's why I know so much about Hare Krishnas. So this guy was this is Yashodanandan Swami. He was a right-hand man with the founder. So he's got a lot of stories. He's got a lot of insight. He's got he knows a lot of stuff. He knows a lot of stuff about the gurus. He knows a lot about stuff about Prabhupada. He knows just a lot of stuff. So I was friends with this guy for like 10 years. So I heard it all right from him.
Devoted to the service of Vishnu and anything related to the service of Vishnu. Just like people go to the temple, they get darshan of the deity.
This guy's biggest phony. He's a phony just like all the rest. I didn't know who he. I mean, I knew who he was. I knew who he was, but I didn't know all the shit. Right? Because he's not going to tell me. He's not going to tell me. It had to, you know, like permeate its way out. All the funk, all his funk had to, like, it took a while for his funk to get to me. And finally through reading different lectures, different conversations, different things, talking to different people, meeting different kids, whatever, I realized who this guy's history, who this guy was, and some of the conversations that he had with Prabhupada. And I realized this guy was a big phony, just like all the rest. He protects pedophiles just like all the other ones. While he's sitting there talking about, oh, these guys are pedophiles and blah, blah, blah. When push comes to shove, they're all the same. So they might not all be pedophiles right now, or they might not be all protecting pedophiles right now. But push comes to shove, they'll do it. They'll do it. They'll do it to save themselves. They'll do it to save their buddies, because they know by saving their buddies, they're saving themselves too. It's all a big cult. It's all a big group. Now what's really sick about it is if you're new, like me, and you're always new, because these old time guys, you're always the new guy. I forgot what I was going to say. I'm so worked up. I'm so worked up because I didn't know who this guy was. I didn't know that he was abusing kids in Vrindavan. I had heard stories about kids being abused, not being sexually abused, but being physically abused. And I heard he was in charge of the school when these kids were being abused. He was one of the teachers. He was one of the head teachers of the school. This guy. And you want me to believe that he didn't know about it, or he wasn't protecting anybody, or he wasn't abusing anybody himself? And then I read a lecture about him. I read a letter. I read a conversation he had with Prabhupada where he's asking Prabhupada if he can beat the kids. Can we beat these kids? Oh, when I read that, I was like in shock. And then this guy and his buddies break a guy out of jail, a pedophile who's in jail. He's in jail. And they break him out of jail. They get him out. I'm like, I can't be part of this. I can't be part of this disgusting friggin' thing. Then it was like a house of cards. It all came crashing down. Child marriage, the racism, the sexism, all the it was like a volcano erupted. At least for me. I don't know how other people. I don't know how these other people can recognize so much crap. Gurus molesting boys and girls. Boys and girls molesting boys and girls. Gurus beating up little kids. Torturing little kids. And I really mean torturing little kids. Mentally and physically. There's so much crap. When you just go down the list of all the crap, you go, this is a religion? This is a religion. This is a religion of love and peace and happiness? Crazy. Absolutely crazy. You don't know who these people are. I'm telling you, you don't know who these people are. You go to a Hare Krishna temple, you go to a Hare Krishna festival, you go to a Hare Krishna restaurant, you meet a Hare Krishna in the street selling books or giving away some food, you have no idea who that guy is. He could be a totally innocent victim of the cult who just joined the cult because he didn't know any better. Now he's out there doing whatever. But chances are, there's a good chance the guy's a predator. He's done something, or he's about to do something. It's a good chance. That's why it's so important people know. I was on vacation. I was out of town. I was in another part of Thailand. And I saw a Hare Krishna on the street, and I could tell because he had beads. And the girl had a bead bag, and I was like, Hare Krishnas. And the guy called me over because he was selling stuff. He had like a little thing selling things. And he's like, "Hey, well, you come on over." And as soon as I got over there, I said, "Oh, hey, you're Hare Krishna?" And he goes, "Yeah, restaurant right there." And there's a restaurant, Govinda's restaurant, 2 doors down. And I said, "There you go." People have no idea. And I'm not saying he's a predator or he's ever done anything, but I don't know. I don't know who's in that restaurant. I don't know who works in that restaurant. I don't want to be anywhere around those people. I know better. I know from experience. You don't have to join. You don't have to live in the temple. You don't have to be in there for something to happen. You don't know who these people are. You just don't know who these people are. And as long as they have this code of not turning people in, protecting them, moving them around, then you have to suspect all of them. This guy, he told me in LA, he said, you can always go talk to Padma Garva. He's a good guy. He's one of us. He's on our side against these gurus. Padma Garva, he's a good guy. You can always go talk to him. Padma Garva is a child molester. I didn't know. He knew. Everybody knew, but me. I was the new guy. I wasn't there when it happened. I wasn't there when Padma Garva got kicked off, take all his duties taken away from him. But he was still lived in the temple. He still lived in the community. He's still able to go to the temple. Still able to go to the restaurant. Still able to do everything. He's at all the festivals. He's at all the parades and all this stuff. Nobody knows. I didn't know. I had no idea. This guy's telling me that I should go hang out and talk with this predator, with a known predator that he was protecting. And I had an 11-year-old daughter. I had a 12-year-old daughter. Why are you telling me that Padma Garva is a good guy? When he had all his service taken away from him. He belongs in jail. I'm disgusted with this whole thing. I can't emphasize enough how dangerous this cult is. It's dangerous for your mental health even if you don't have any kids. It's dangerous for your mental health. Because you're going to be protecting these pedophiles. You're going to have a guru. You're going to find a guru that you think is the greatest thing in the world, and then you're going to find out that he's buddies with a pedophile. Because they're all buddies. I don't know how else to explain it. The bad ones, you can know who the bad ones are, but then you got all these ones that are protecting the bad ones. It's like, I don't know who's who. Why are you protecting these guys? Why? Why are you afraid? Look, if I did something wrong, if I was caught with a little girl or a little boy or something in the temple, and the word got out, and I got arrested, I should be arrested. I should feel guilty. No, they don't. The guy that raped the little girl behind the stage at the Krishna festival, the grown man rapes a 13-year-old girl behind the stage at the Hare Krishna festival, and then he just leaves her in the road and goes back up on stage to sing to do his thing. What the fuck? He didn't feel bad. He didn't feel anything. He felt good. Usually when a rapist rapes somebody, they leave the scene of the crime. They go far away. This guy got up on stage. Up on stage. The kind of balls you gotta have to rape a little girl behind the stage, up the road behind the stage, and then go back up on stage. And you think she was the only one? You don't have those kind of balls and only flex them once. But these guys belong in friggin' jail. And they're sitting in temple rooms, lecturing, getting worshipped like they're God, flowers thrown at their feet washed, eating food like they're King Louis or something. This guy's sitting there like he's friggin' Maharishi, whatever, with all his books. Half of those books are mine. Sitting up there, half of those books are mine. Half of those books are mine. He's sitting up there. The picture behind him is mine. Over his shoulder is my picture. He's sitting up there like he's friggin' Swami, Mommy, Wami, whatever. Meanwhile, I know all this shit about him. I know all this shit about him. Guys are disgusting. These guys are friggin' disgusting. And speaking about disgusting, I'm so disgusted. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna end it right here. I said I had about 20 minutes, 40 minutes left. I had about another 30 minutes or so. But yeah, I get so disgusted with this stuff. I gotta take a break. But yeah, I sometimes I laugh at some of this stuff, but I'm not making fun of it. I mean, my own daughter was abused, molested by these freaks, so it's not like I take it lightly. I'm not laughing at her or her situation, and her situation falls into the whole thing. It's not like her situation is separate from everything else I'm talking about. It's all one big. First of all, if I had known, I never would have got involved with them. If I had known that there was all this sexual abuse in the Hare Krishnas, if I had known that these gurus were full of shit and had fallen down and were all full of shit, if I had known that before, if I had known half of the shit that I know, if I had known it before I even read a book, I never would have got involved. But I didn't know. And there was no internet, so I couldn't look anything up on the internet. But once you're in, you start excusing some of this stuff. It's like, oh, yeah, that don't sound right, but I'll put that in the back of my head. And I'll put that in the back of my head too. I'll just, because I really like the food and the chanting and this and that, and it's just a lot of fun. And so you excuse things. You tend to excuse things, and I'm not the only one. I've watched a lot of videos of people that have left and they've said the same things. And then there's like little cracks that form, and then they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then finally you're done. But a lot of stuff, if you don't know it, cracks never form because you're in the dark about it. Like that guy that came into my the guy that came into my chat and said, was watching my video and said, "Hey, my brother," I think it was his brother. My brother got a hold of one of these books. Some of these freaks gave my brother a book and he read it. Next thing I know, he quits his job and moves to India to go milk a cow. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, man. That's exactly what I'm trying to stop. Because once you're in the move to India stage, you're gone. You're gone. So I'm trying to prevent that from happening. I'm trying to prevent people from making that mistake. They don't know, and they're like, oh, this seems cool. Oh, it's ancient Vedic. It's ancient stuff from India. It's really cool. It's like, incense and flowers and meditation and vegetarian and fuck that. Fuck that. I don't want to hear that shit. So I'm going to call it quits here. I'm going to go ahead and ding the bell. The class is over. So thanks everybody for watching. And again, all you new subscribers, thanks for subscribing. New viewers, thanks for subscribing and watching and sharing these videos so we can get this information out. Just like T was saying, she had no idea. They're right in her community. She didn't know. She said she drives by them every day. It's a lot of people have no idea, and a lot of people that see them every day, they don't have no idea what's going on. So I wanted to thank everybody for getting these videos out. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, do what you can, and I'll see you next time. I'll see you next time. And right now, have a great day, great night, great morning, great afternoon, great luck, and let's watch a little clip, I think. Let me see.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
I was in the bar for a drink or two. I met a girl named Mary Lou. Her blue jeans were so tight and cut so low. Those jeans were stretched across her butt. On a belt she wore a rabbit's foot, and I couldn't help but see her camel toe. Mary Lou had a camel toe.
Means that และกลับเข้าสู่ My Max All Time ISKCON1radio.com Whatever, I'll do what I want.
You're listening to Mike's Madhouse on BKK1radio.com.
Worried about God. I'm afraid of what he might do if anything should happen to me.
God, but he's a robot. Without you, what could he do?
There's no limit to what he could do. He could destroy the earth. If anything should happen to me, you must go to God. You must say these words.
Dumalang, Video Zuzi, and ready to Mike's Madhouse, more BKK1radio.com.
And now it's time for the Dumb American on Mike's Madhouse.
Back to dope tunes and stupid talk with White Boy Mike on Mike's Madhouse.